toured around this state for 3 years. I visited with families in rural areas. I visited families in metropolitan areas, suburban areas. And one thing that always struck me was this. When you looked at a child with autism, or you looked at an adult with autism, you realize it's a lifelong disorder. And the look in their face and the despair of those families was the same, regardless if I was in the Black Belt or if I was in Mountain Brook, Alabama. It was that same look of helplessness. It was that same look of people saying that they were crying out for assistance and we're not doing anything about it. And no, it's not solely up to the insurance companies to do something about it, and I don't want to sit here and paint that as the case. They are a large piece of the puzzle, though. And when you look at just a couple quick starting facts, and I could read you facts all day, but I want to let the speaker speak. One thing that jumps out at me, in the last 12 years, the state of Alabama's education system has seen an increase in the number of students with diagnosis increase by 3,667%. If that were any other disorder, it would be an epidemic. And we would have charities all over the country traveling, all over the world traveling to our state to fix it. It's that big of a problem. Those faces are not Democrat, they're not Republican, they're both parties. They're not black, they're not white. Autism does not discriminate based upon demographics. Amen. It's 1 in 110. That's as simple as I can make it. I'll close with saying this. There will be a lot of conversations in the days and weeks ahead on this. One way or the other, this bill will pass, I hope. If it does not, just know that I'll continue working and I'll never quit working on it. But at the same time, meeting you in this room who are going to have dialogue with me, know this, I'll continue working with you on all the issues we face. My good friend Robin Stone, I know he's here. I know he feels like a chicken out of Colonel Sanders' family reunion. But I can tell you I also appreciate the good faith efforts y'all brought to the table to kind of find a solution to this. And again, I look forward to working with everybody on this very important issue. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator. I was very hesitant to be at this microphone. There's experts here from all over the country that can give you facts and figures and hard data that I can't give you. But I can give you something that nobody else in this room can give you because I'm a small business owner, work with my family's business and have since '98, so I understand the small business part of it. I am also an autism mama. I have a 9-year-old little girl named Riley, and I'm also a state senator's wife. Cam Moore's my husband, so I've been in this arena, and the small business arena. So that's how I got nominated for this microphone today. I can tell you this, we kid at home, I wouldn't do your job for $1 million, not for $1 million. What you do is difficult, I know that. It's hard, and you make tough decisions. You have to make gut calls, and they're not fun. And I see that firsthand every night. I'm going to start with what I know for sure. I know that all babies don't come into this world equipped equally. Some come early, they're preemies. Some have birth defects. Some may have a disease when they're born. My baby came in with autism. That's what we were met with. As Candace said, autism it's 1 in 110. 1 in 70 if you're a boy. If you haven't been touched by this yet, you will soon. It may be a grandchild, it may be a niece, nephew, church member. It's coming if you haven't already. When a family receives that diagnosis, it affects every corner of their life. It affects their marriage, their faith, their checkbook. It affects everything. Their extended families. And it all starts with these questions. You have questions of, why is my child different? Why aren't they babbling? Why aren't they talking? Why do they take sand and hold it up instead of getting in the pool like the rest of the kids do? Starts with these little questions. And in your gut, as a mom, you go, something's wrong. For me, the biggest one was our little girl never said mom, ever. You would call her name, you could call it 30 times, she would never turn around and look at you, and she never said the word mom. It's heartbreaking. And I'll tell you a funny story. We brought her down here for a family day. For those that don't know, the legislature does family picture day. Opening day, everybody's all dressed up, and kids look gorgeous. Took pictures at the Capitol, brought her over here, put her in the elevator, get to the 5th floor, the door's open. She's about 2 years old at the time. The door's open, and she just starts screaming and hits the floor, and that was it. We were done. Put her back in the car, drove back home, and that was our family day. Because what we know now is the sensory overload of this place, which I feel her pain on that too. But, it's loud, it's chaotic, she couldn't deal with it. And right after that trip, I don't want to say on that same issue, the reason you see families here, these are the people who can come. So many people can't come. They can't bring their kids here. It's impossible. They do good to even get a babysitter at home. They do good to take a shower because you have to have somebody watch their child all the time. So I'm hoping to be a voice for the ones who can't make this trek. Right after the Montgomery Day, we had started hearing the word autism pop up. You hear it at daycare, you hear it at pediatrician. Have you thought about it? You know, that might be it. And so I quickly Googled, and you get scared to death because you start reading lifelong disorder. It takes huge amounts of therapy. It takes constant therapy, or they regress back. You lose what you've already had. It takes occupational therapy, speech, behavior, physical. It's not just a put a cast on it and fix the broken arm. It's a huge, huge piece of therapy to be able to even scratch the surface. So our journey began at Children's South with a lady named Miss Suzanne, who was the greatest person ever. I sat behind a two-way mirror watching this lady work with our child, and she screamed for the first month. Every week I went and watched while she cried, and Miss Suzanne tried, and Riley cried, and Miss Suzanne tried, and we did this over and over and over for 4 or 5 sessions. And finally, about the 5th session, there was less crying. Then there became a little less and a little less. And about the time they got to the point where they were working on a sound, I'm talking snake, that simple of a sound, our insurance maxed out, and that was it. We covered our 30 visits, and we were faced with a choice. And that's the point. You decide, do you wait a year? Do you hope for the best and give it a year, wait till your insurance kicks back in? Or do you take a different road and take the bull by the horns and do this yourself? And so, if you know us, you know what we did. We took it, we took it and we took it good. We basically got out our checkbook and assembled the best team we could buy. We started with outpatient therapists. We had people in our home. We enrolled her in a preschool full-time year-round for 2 years that was 45 miles from our house, that we did double trips, dropping her off in the morning. And what we saw, another issue with us, is our daddy's a public official. It's not like we can't stay at home. Our kid has to go out in public. It's part of it. So we hired private community teachers who did nothing but take her to the library to learn how to use the inside voice, outside voice. They would take her to birthday parties so she wouldn't run out of the room when they sang happy birthday. Just a lot of things that go into this, and it affects every piece of your life, your vacations, everything. And I think a lot of the moms here are probably like me. You put on these blinders, and you're not dreaming, is my kid going to Alabama, Auburn, or Troy? You're getting through the day. You're trying to get from breakfast to lunch to dinner, and you get up the next morning and do it again. And it's exhausting. And we still have Team Riley. Right now we're doing puberty, we're doing clicks, we're doing get ready middle school. It doesn't end. It doesn't end at 9, it doesn't end at 18, it doesn't end at 50. It's lifelong. There's different issues every year, but it goes on and on.